Hello, folks. We are live. Welcome back to the Toffee Blues Late Night Show. I have to click the banner. It's up. It's ticking.
Look at that
Y'all didn't know it could
banner.
do that, right? It's amazing. We are back, Quinn and I, me and Quinn, whichever is grammatically correct. It doesn't matter because we're here to talk Everton once again. Quinn, how have you been?
I've been good. I mean, overall,
Mm,
been good. Um, was a little sick this weekend, but got the tea. We're pushing past it. And here we
oh,
are.
what's the tea, Quinn?
It is sleepy time honey with some peppermint.
All right, folks, you heard it here first. She drinks sleepy time honey with peppermint during the show because she doesn't want to be coherent. I don't know. She's
Well,
like taking drugs, bro. That's
that's what
crazy.
they all say.
That's what they all say. Welcome, welcome back. All right, I've been well. I think we've both just moved to new places.
Mhm.
Um, Not that it really matters. So we are both still in the process of getting things set up, going about our lives, everything that goes along with moving. But we both
Yes.
had the fortune slash misfortune to watch Everton versus Fulham, the 1-1 draw that played out yesterday at Goodison Park. We're going to change the ticker over because that's just what we need to see here. And it's what y'all are going to see as we talk. So, Quinn, I have a lot to
Yes.
say, but I want you to get your initial thoughts and everything out first.
My initial thoughts
On that game, on Everton
first.
1, Fulham 1.
Yeah, it was not a great game of football, that is for sure. Which was a bit of a bummer because my best friends here, baseball people,
Mm.
they have not watched a game with me before, and they said, "Hey, since you're watching the World Series with us, we will watch the Everton game with you this weekend." And I just thought,
Nice.
what an awful game for them to watch with me as
Yeah.
their first. But um, yeah, I think overall it was a pretty poor game. Lucky to get out of there with a point, which is just really sad that our home form is at that point where it's like, oh, well, we really hope we get out of here with a point come the end of the game against Fulham. Couple thoughts. I'm sure we'll dive into this. Really, really, what's the word? Yeah, really happy for Beto after
Yeah.
he came on and
Yeah.
scored. Just like the groans that I mean, people are saying
Yeah.
that's not why there were groans. They were, but all at the same time, you're a
Uh,
player coming on. It's like
I
you
know.
know,
I know.
but seeing him come in and be hungry after yeah, what's rumored to have been some pretty hard times like for him. So that was good.
I haven't heard any of these rumors about hard times. Like what's been said?
I just said apparently him and Deitch had a falling out. Heard
Got it.
that this week, uh,
Uh,
and he said after the game that it's been pretty hard times. Might as well put Beto and Keane up front. Hey,
it's
I
a
mean, to be totally honest, like their center backs did not. I mean, we're
Michael Keane played great up top. He truly like looked like he belonged up there, and it was quite nice to see. Um, yeah, so I would agree that we played pretty poorly. I took the time to kind of talk about each individual performance from our players. We don't have to go too crazy, and we can start off with everybody who played well. I thought Ashley Young was has continued his good form. The guy's kind of really come out and made this right back spot his own. I don't think it's something that Coleman will be able to take back from him for a little while. Had a great that ball for the Beto goal, first time side foot volley, perfect place. Oh, it was fantastic. He's definitely found another level for us this season and stepped up where he's needed to. Um, Michael Keane, I know I
you said he did not play well
Uh, look, he did
previously.
play well. He did play well, and he's continued to play well. And I need to take a step back and not give in to the masses when it comes to how I criticize players. He played well. I think he played better than Tarkovsky and probably has done quite a few times this season. And he truly just looks like a striker sometimes. Like him being up top feels kind of right. Like in a weird way, it feels right. Like he's up there, he's winning balls, he's making runs, like he's getting his head on things and harassing these defenders who've been trying to run cover blue and ragged for 85 minutes, and no, he didn't play a part in the goal, but he played a part in our hearts, and that's what really mattered.
He played a part in our hearts.
Uh,
Yes.
yeah. Um, Pickford was fine. I mean, he'll be disappointed to get beat at the near post, but I think Iwobi definitely sold him, opened up his hips, and then took it near post. It was a good goal. Maybe we can talk about Iwobi a little bit. I thought he played really well. I thought Fulham as a whole played really well.
Yeah.
They're a good side. Marco Silva is a half decent manager, but that's not really why we're not really here to talk about Fulham. Brathwaite, happy to have him back. Didn't really have any moments during the game where he was needed. The game really, once like Beto came on, the game got really broken up. There was some injuries, some fouls. McNeil got taken off. It wasn't a lot of fluid play. How did you think Gonagay did?
I thought he played really well. I thought he was our best player on the pitch,
Yeah.
personally. It is the goal that ended up being offside for Calvert-Lewin, his strike off the post. As he wound up to strike it, I just thought, here we go. Here's a field goal.
It is Roseanne.
Like, on target, and I mean, slightly off target, but I just think, I mean, yeah, he I think was second to none yesterday on our team. And hey, if he can figure out, I mean, it's not like he's young, but man, if he figures out how to take a touch and put a ball on frame, he has so many opportunities from the top of the box. If he gets better at that, I mean, no complaints here.
They always fall to him.
And they always leave the park.
I know.
Out they go.
Well, that strike was almost something really special. The technique on it, like, I like Gonagay a lot, and I agree. I think he played very well, has been our consistent performer in midfield since he's come back into the team from injury. I think he's been great. He's really, when it comes to talking about players that have aged like fine wine, he's right up there. The guy is like mid-30s right now, and he does not look out of place in the Premier League still. He could probably play another couple of seasons. He doesn't rely on pace. He relies on positioning and good tackling. I think that he really did the job of two midfielders. Because Decore was just did not look like he belonged. And we'll get to that later. But I thought Ghana played fantastic. And when Mangala came on, it really allowed Ghana to have an opportunity to be a bit more impactful in the ways that he can be. He's not the best attacking player, but he can get the ball where it needs to go. He can move the ball around when it needs to get moved around quickly. He has that intelligence, which is something that Decore lacks. And when Mangala came on, he was able to be that foil for Gay, to be able to be the other holding midfielder who can actually get the ball moved along. And again, Mangala just was just a little bit of progression we needed in midfield. Just what we tend to do is play over the top and play without our midfield too often, and especially when Decore is in the middle. We'll get to Decore later. Beto, I thought. With Beto overall, I don't think his play is very good. I don't think he always knows what he's doing out there. I don't think he always has a plan of action other than to just run. That's okay. I think that makes him a very good impact sub. It makes him somebody that I would expect to see get more game time, especially in games where we're kind of chasing it or it's tied. I think he deserves more than just 10 minutes. That's another problem with Sean Dyche that I personally have with his substitutions, is that he doesn't really give players a chance to make the impacts that they need to. Obviously, Harrison got taken off for Lundstrom, which was justified, but Beto, especially, if there's this falling out thing that's happened, which I'm really just hearing about, I don't think it's very fair on Dyche to take away game time from a player who just wants to go out there and do good things for the team.
Did you hear the statistic during the game? Were you listening that he is the manager who has made the least
substitution? I did, yes. Yeah. Least amount of over the past 10 years. Yep. He's a manager like that. He does not like making changes. And again, we'll get to this later in the show. Yeah. But I do think Beto came on, was energetic, got himself in the right space for the goal. He's definitely a player that tends to grow into games. I don't think he's capable of starting a Premier League game and being cut and dropping an 8 or 9 out of 10, because I just don't think he has the consistency as a player or the discipline, which is
he's just pretty sporadic and chaotic, it
yeah,
feels like, you know?
he's very chaotic, and he just doesn't have that discipline. I've said it to Danny. I might have said it on the show before, but he doesn't look like a player that came through a good established academy. He looks
Mhm.
like a player who just realized that he could play late on and just had some natural ability and just all the physical ability that he could ever need to be able to make it at a professional level. And of course the willpower, and of course he'll have some discipline to an extent, but it's just the discipline on the pitch is very different. It's the football IQ, and it's something that
Totally.
he's unfortunately missing. But
He
I'm
also
glad.
doesn't have the talent level of, like, an Erling Haaland, who overall is not a great player, but he's a
Exactly.
great goal scorer.
Exactly. He has that finishing ability, that just innate
Yes.
finishing ability to just say, I'm just going to get in the spot I need to. I'm going to hold off my man. I'm going to get my shot on frame, and it's going to go in. And Beto has that same physical profile, but he's just not the same player. That's
Yep.
unfortunate.
Yep.
Um, Big, and then the last player that I thought played very well. He's one who's played very well every time he's played this season was Ndai. I feel for that guy so badly. I know that he's very grateful to be in this Everton team, very grateful to be playing every week, and he's probably the first name on the team sheet. And if he's not, he should be. Um, I love seeing the guy on the ball. He's just so tenacious. He's tenacious, and then his ability is just sky high. He can get past people. He can get through people. He can hold up the ball. He can get himself out of tight spaces and and relieve pressure. He is such a great player. I wish we had 10 Element and Dies on the pitch and then Pickford in goal because he's just such a good player. It just stinks to see him be so isolated out on that left side, and truly, it's not just being out on that left side where he's isolated because he can still find ways to create, but he just doesn't in games like this. He doesn't have anybody around him. I don't know
Mhm.
if you noticed this, Quinn, but he didn't really have anybody around him to help him really create anything. He was just getting the ball over on the left side and then kind of just finding himself in an alleyway. And he's getting closed down by two defenders. He's getting
Yeah.
closed down by three defenders. And
Yep.
nobody's moving for him because if they're closing him down, that means there's space they're leaving.
Yep.
Somebody has to go into that space. Decore just doesn't recognize it. He's not that player. And he's also in the middle of the park. McNeil can't get close enough. He's saying hella central. I don't know.
Yeah.
Did you see the same thing as me?
Yeah, I'm hopeful that things change a little bit, or yes, on him being closed down. There were many times where it's like he's just losing the ball because he has no one to give the ball to.
Exactly. Yeah.
But what I'm hopeful what doesn't change is that he doesn't get apathetic, because I think players, when they, like, get the ball on their feet and they know that they have the skills and the abilities, I hope that he doesn't choose to just, like, keep it and spite others and then lose the ball and get
Mm,
lazy. I'm not saying I don't think he's done that yet, but I think that that can be a tendency of players like his quality when people aren't moving, to just, like, lose the ball and kinda give in, and I'm really hopeful that doesn't turn out to be how the season progresses for him,
sure. Yeah.
um, if players don't. Um, but it's pretty hard to watch, like you said, there's three defenders closing in, so there's space somewhere. Where's the space?
Where's the space and who's moving into it? Right. And that's
Yes,
just not
and
what's happening.
can he be quicker to distribute a ball? I don't think that it was necessarily to his fault yesterday, but, like,
Sure.
when that happens, can he be quick to distribute the ball or play a ball into space for someone to run onto instead of just losing the ball? I think towards the end of the game, he started losing the ball more in
Yep.
some of those spaces, but
Getting tired. It's tough. And again, he's not getting those players around him. I noticed towards like once Beto came on, it looked like Ndai took a bit more of a free role. He was popping up on the right side, popping up in the middle. Eventually, he created from his side where his position is on the left with a great ball over to Young, who got it to Beto. I think truly, if this team wants to progress to a better part of the season, he needs to be the one that plays centrally.
mhm.
I
Oh,
understand
yeah.
that McNeil has the ability to an extent, but he's not in die. And what makes Element and Die so good is his ability. Like I understand this worry that you have that he might get apathetic. I don't see that attitude in him at all. I
Mhm.
know he's only been here a small part of the season. I know he's moved a couple of clubs in his career so far, and he's still pretty young. But I see a guy who's just thankful to be out there, and I see a guy out there who has the mental fortitude to be able to stick it out over a tough season.
Mhm.
Um, I
Yeah, I
think
don't see
I
that in
think
his
so.
character at the
Yeah.
moment. I just hope that it doesn't get there, because I think it can.
Thank you, Toffee Nug. Appreciate it, man. And I love the Lego figurehead. It's nice. Um, yeah, I love Illuminati a lot. I do. I just want to see him in the positions where he's going to be the most creative and the most impactful. I think he deserves to be in the middle. He deserves to have good players around him who can play one-touch football. And I just see so much potential for these amazing 1-2s with Iliman and Dye and this intricate football because he has that ability. He has that creative knowledge as well. Um, but
Yep.
again, he was as good as he needed to be, which is still very good and a pretty poor overall performance. All right. So we've talked about the good. Let's talk about the bad because there's a good amount of it. Quinn, is there anybody in particular you want to highlight that you did think was fairly poor or very poor?
I think Jack Harrison was pretty poor. I mean,
Yeah.
it was almost like, I mean, it was just obvious. It was so obvious he was playing so poor. It wasn't even like he could hide, or yeah, I just thought he played pretty poorly yesterday, which obviously was the first one to come off the field for us.
Yep. Deservedly so.
And
Yes.
yes,
Yep.
would agree.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
Yeah, I watched him and I think he was just again what has kind of happened to him a lot this season. He's been the victim of his own work rate and work ethic. He gets put out there because he works so hard, but because he works so hard and presses to an extent, sometimes a little haphazardly. He's not again. We don't have a very organized press, so at most games we don't have a very organized press. Some games we get it right, but it takes a lot for us to get it right, and it has to be the right opponents. But
Yeah.
he's up there pressing on his own. He's trying to win the ball back, and then for him, if he's not winning that ball back, then he needs to be creating. He needs to be getting his touches right. He just didn't. He was snatching at everything. He wasn't able to get. I don't think he put up one cross where he cut himself inside and just lofted the ball with his left foot. He just could not do anything last night. He hasn't scored or assisted this season. I think there needs to be a conversation about having Lindstrom get a couple of games. Um, whether I think that happens with Deitch or not, I don't know. I also don't think Lindstrom was very great either. I thought he was very anonymous, which is becoming a bit of um, a habit for him in games. I know he hasn't played very much. I know he's just mostly come on as a substitute. But when he does, he just does not seem to care or be involved in any of the build-up play. I think personally, if we're looking at Southampton, I think Lundstrom should start. I think that he deserves a chance because Harrison has been so poor this season, and he just, it can't be Deitch resting on his laurels, and things need to change. I know we're on an unbeaten run. I know that we've won a couple games, and then the past few games have been a lot better since the first four. But I think there needs to be some sort of opportunity for a player like Lundstrom to come in and say, "Hey, look, he's not performed to the extent that we need to. We need you to come in and do a job." That's a personal opinion.
I think this is a perfect example where people couldn't argue with Deitch and say, like, I mean, Harrison played so obviously poor, like, and I don't think Jack Harrison could have much to say of like, oh,
he would be disappointed with the performance himself. He absolutely would be.
Totally, but I'm just saying, like, I don't think you could argue with a manager for a game coming up like Southampton. You played really poor, dropping you to give someone else a chance.
It's a big game.
When it's a game like Southampton,
That's unfortunately a really big game for us, yeah.
Yes, but it's also a bummer because it's one of those games where you would want almost like redemption. Like that's where you want to be. Is like this is a game to build confidence in some ways. But
it's a good point. I appreciate that viewpoint a lot. Moving on, Calvert-Lewin. I felt awful for him. He's just totally thankless task yesterday. Fulham were very set up to take care of any runs into the channels that he might make. Tete and Robinson were very well placed. Bassi and Diop were just on top of him and able to keep up with him as well, which is typically something he has in center backs. Both of them just stayed right with him the whole time. It just made it almost impossible for him to be able to get anything clean. He had the one chance he put away that was offside. I don't remember him having anything else throughout the game. Again, he was just an unfortunate casualty of a very, very bad setup and a very bad team performance.
I don't think he played poorly per se.
Yeah, I agree. He never got a sniff. He got marked out of the game, and he had nobody around him. He got asked to do the job that Dyche is asking his forwards to do right now. Well, to ask him to do right now, is to just win ball, try to win the ball and try to win a foul and get us up the pitch. That's all it is. And today Fulham knew that. Marco Silva knew that and said, okay, all right, so we're just gonna, we're just chase him down and win the ball off him, get there first. That's all it needs to be. And he put players there that needed to do that and made it easy.
Yeah, I felt super bad for him. There came a point in the game where Jordan Pickford just launched like 6 balls in a row, like not super close to Dom either. And I just was like, gosh, this guy has got to be so frustrated up there all by himself. Like,
I agree.
I'm just asked to run. I'm just asked to run, get hit, and then do it again.
Yep. And then his replacement comes on and scores, and we actually start creating something, and he scores. Like that must just bite him.
And just I can't, which maybe this is for later. I can't believe he took Dom off and didn't throw the two of them up together once again.
I know. We'll save, and we can talk about that because that's actually a good conversation to have. Next one that this is actually the player. I thought Harrison was very bad, but this is a player I thought was totally didn't deserve to be on the pitch at all. Decore, I thought was just he's having these performances as midfield consistently now that he's getting this run where he's not there. He's not about it. He had a couple of moments in the first half where he was tidying up well enough, but when it really came down to it, he just wasn't there for it. We can highlight the main highlight. If I could show a highlight right here, I would show that Iwobi goal, and I would show Emile Smith-Rowe getting Iwobi the ball and Decore sitting there and just sidestepping and watching Iwobi. It was like somebody like took his controller, like they were playing FIFA and they took his controller and just made him not do anything because he literally just sat there and watched Iwobi run away from him. And he's just like, oh, this is somebody else's responsibility. They got that. Didn't try to press nothing. I mean, that was everybody. There was Keane, Tarkowski, and Decore. All three of them just sat there and watched Iwobi run at them. So it's not just his fault. But overall, he does not belong in that midfield. He does not help us progress. I believe that he's only there because we don't play through our midfield until we absolutely have to, it feels like. Or maybe Deitch thinks he's some wrecking ball that can win the ball back, and I just don't see that. I don't see that ability in him. He had some success as a 10 because he would get into the box late and the chances would fall to him. But now teams recognize that and they try to force us to play him. He can't play. And it's frustrating. It's frustrating to see him out there, especially when his replacement comes on and does the job that we needed our midfield to do, which was keep possession, keep balls tidy, and try to get some actual progression up the field. I did not appreciate Decore's performance at all. And there was another highlight on like 65 minutes. He gets the ball on the right-hand side, turns and just smacks it straight out of bounds. Smacks it straight out of bounds at the people in the first and second row. Just straight out of bounds, like just a turn, like he doesn't even know where he's at on the pitch. That to me just highlights his level of performance right now. He doesn't need to be there. I'd like to see him replaced with Mangala for Southampton. Any words on Decore, Quinn?
I concur.
Oh, perfect. All right, moving on. Another player who has had a pretty poor season, and there's going to be questions about him soon, I think, is James Tarkowski. Tarkowski, whatever. We're rolling with it either way. I think that there is an argument to make that he has taken a bit of a step down in his performance. I like the mute on the drink sip. I appreciate that. That was good. I don't know if it's him playing with Michael Keane when he was used to playing with Branthwaite. I don't know if it's a true physical drop off for him, but I think there is an argument to be made to say when Branthwaite's, which is hopefully against Southampton, Branthwaite's ready to come back in the team, it should be Keane and Branthwaite playing. Quinn, do you have any thoughts on that?
I think James has played pretty poor this season compared to obviously last season.
The standard he had, exactly, yes.
Yeah, the rock of our team was that center back pairing of James and Jared. And so, I think what's hard is people are talking about why didn't Jared come in and replace Keane, but I think that's a wrong question. It's Jared should be the first name on the team sheet. And then if Michael Keane is playing better than James Tarkowski, then he should come out. And so I think that's the conversation is Which, the partnership, is it because he's playing with Michael Keane and he got so used to playing with Jared Branthwaite? And is that what? But I think, yeah, because that's been the thing. It's, it would be unfair to Michael Keane to pull him off. Okay, well, so we're just
Kind
ignoring
of.
that there's another center back back there with him if people think he's played well. And I do. I think Michael Keane has played fairly well the last few games.
He's not.
Um,
He's played well. I agree. I have to eat some crow there because
sure.
yeah.
But yeah, I just think Jared should be on the team sheet next week, and it's hard because I don't know who the next person is. Do you leave James Tarkowski in only because of last season, or do you leave Michael Keenan because he's played well this season?
It's a tough question,
It's a
and
it's
you
a
could
tough
see
one.
Tarkovsky come out and have a great have a renaissance playing against Branthwaite again. You never know. So
Yeah.
it becomes a question for Shaw that it's one of those I don't want to say it's a good headache because obviously if he plays the wrong pairing that we could lose a game that
Mm-hmm.
we really need to win. Honestly, personally, I think Keane has done enough to warrant a start ahead of Tarkovsky right now, considering how it's been a consistent level of performance for Tarkovsky this season.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Keane seems to have found a bit of form, and I think we should take advantage of that as long as we can, especially if Tarkovsky is. I think there's been some rumors that he's been 100% fit the whole season. So I think if that's the case, if we can give him a chance to get back to 100% fit and not play him for a couple games, then shit, I mean, we should do it. Excuse my language, but
Yeah.
it's going to be a long freaking season, regardless of what happens over the course of with Deitch and whatever. It's going to be a long season, and if we need Tarkovsky to be 100% fit, if he can get back to that level that he had last season, because if that's the case, then he's an incredible asset for us at center back. It's something that we really need to continue to have depth in.
Yep. Yep.
Um, Another player who's had a very consistently bad season is Vitaly Mikalenko. Obviously, was a very, very good player last year. He was consistent and put out his 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10 performances that he usually does. And this season, it's just not been the same. I think there is another question of is he truly fit right now or not? And I think that might be a no, and is really being asked to play, whether it's with injections or through a pain barrier, um, because he just does not look like he's just all there. Think he really got the runarounds and just didn't look like he was very comfortable all game. Um, I will say that he has the most incredible level of stamina. He made this run back. Fulham were in on goal. It was Harry Wilson in on goal, and he made this run back from the Fulham's attacking part of the pit, Fulham's area, and made it back and made a beautiful tackle on Harry Wilson to get the ball away from. He's got a lot of good assets, but I just feel like it consistently he's just been poor, and I don't know if he's 100% fit or not.
Yeah, I think yesterday was that was a pretty poor game. I think people have been on his back, and I don't think I've been on the. I think there's just been players who have played worse, but I do think yesterday was a
Yeah.
pretty poor performance where I can't really ignore or say it wasn't that bad. Yesterday was not a great showing for him. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, which is unfortunate because I think I would have come to his defense previously of, well, he's not the worst out there, but
He's not.
yeah, I guess. Yeah,
But we don't have any
yesterday.
other options. That's a big issue. Is we don't have any other options at left back. And if we were able to spend money in January, that needs to be probably the first position we look to fill is left back. Is find somebody there, and especially somebody who's going to be a little bit more attacking minded and have a bit more attacking talent. Because we need to find a way to have somebody creative with him. Dwight McNeil didn't play well. I didn't really think he had a lot of opportunities to play well either. There were moments in the first half where I thought he was creating, where the whole team as a whole was creating. We had these moments throughout the game where we just kind of got it and stepped up our intensity and we were able to create some moves, especially in the first half. The second half, we really just let Fulham do what they want until about 80 minutes when Beto came on, and then it was just chaos.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think with Dwight McNeil, one of the things we expect from him is good set pieces, and he just did not
Oh,
have that
so
yesterday.
poor
It was
yesterday.
just really bad. And that's typically the mark of a bad Everton game, especially under Sean Dyche. If we're not putting in good set pieces, we're probably overall just not there. He had that injury, and I think he was already kind of fading pretty late into the game. So
Yeah.
maybe the injury was a blessing in disguise because it brought Braithwaite on, who brought Keane up top, and at least got a fresh body on there when maybe there was never going to be a change made, which would have been pretty disappointing.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought he had an average game, but the set pieces are what threw it to like, this is poor. Like,
Yeah.
just like overall, if you look across the board, take out set pieces, I think he played average. There were
6
good
out of 10.
moments, there weren't great moments, but when you throw in like really poor set pieces, it's like, oh, like those are things you just gotta be. Your delivery has to be better. Like,
Especially in this Sean Dyche team, like it has to be. If that is such a huge focus of ours, we can't be off about it. It has to be our opportunity to score. And crazily enough, we score a goal from open play, which is probably one of like 15 we'll score this season.
yeah,
Yeah, Lindstrom we've already talked about was anonymous. I still think like when I sit here and really think about the Jack Harrison and Jasper Lindstrom debate for Southampton, it becomes, well, yes, I agree that Jack Harrison will probably have a point to prove, and Southampton are not going to be nearly as good as Fulham were defensively. So it will be a chance for him to play against somebody he might be able to take advantage of a little bit more. But with Lindstrom, if he's going to be a player that's here this season, he needs a chance to gain some confidence. He needs a chance to be able to get in the team and be a part of the team, because he's not looked like he's been part of the team every time he's played. He looks like he's a guy who doesn't really know where he fits in. He looks like a guy who doesn't really. I think he might have some like Stockholm syndrome. He feels like he doesn't really belong. Not imposter syndrome. He feels like some imposter syndrome. He looks like a guy that doesn't really know if he belongs here at this team or even belongs in professional football. Like, I know he was having these same kind of issues when he moved to Napoli. So it needs to be like he needs to get a chance. But I don't. Maybe Southampton is a game that is too much because it's kind of too big of a game. It's a game we need to win. We need to establish some room between us and the bottom three, and we need to establish some room between us and some other clubs who are going to try to look to take advantage of any weakness we show. And any more thoughts on Lindstrom? Anything?
I think we talked about him enough earlier. I do think you make a good point. When he comes out, he doesn't look like he knows where he belongs.
He doesn't.
Which is tough.
Yeah.
And
he just go ahead.
I think about, there's so many players that when we get them on loan, it's like, I mean, I think Dan Juma was one of those players where it's like, why are you here? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
That
it's still early, but this could be a similar situation where it's like, why are you here?
It kind of feels like it. It kind of feels like it so far. It feels like a situation where we brought him in because we just needed somebody, and he was just the cheapest option. And now it's kind of like, well, he's here, but he's not really actually making the impact that maybe he would have hoped, or even Deitch or Thelwell would have hoped that he would. But now, speaking of Sean Dyche, we're going to talk about Sean Dyche a little bit. I was pretty disappointed with Sean Dyche last night, and kind of have been with him throughout this whole season. Earlier in a show we did earlier this season, I kind of accused him of not really caring. I don't want to keep that accusation up too much because it's tough to accuse a professional of not caring. But I'm sitting here and I watch the teams he puts out, and we watch Everton week in, week out. I look at the teams that he puts out, and I'm kind of thinking, how much game planning is really going into what we're doing right now? Like I know there's a game plan. I know he's not like the guy who's not taking his job seriously, but at the same time, I'm like, it's more like when the game plan isn't working, right? And we found that out 20 minutes, 15 minutes into the game yesterday. It wasn't working. Why are we not making the necessary changes? Why are we expecting Fulham to change to benefit us? That's not going to happen. So why are we not addressing and having a plan B, or be like, okay, so they're keeping their fullbacks back. They're getting Calvert-Lewin isolated and chasing balls down. So let's try to play something a little bit shorter, draw them out, and draw McNeil or Ndiaye, and then have Calvert-Lewin make the run. Get that ball right in front of the halfway line, so that the center backs are kind of like, well, what's going to happen next? And then because it's all just so, it was just Ashley Young, it was James Harkowski, it's Michael Keane, it's Vitaly Mikalenko, it's Andrei Ganagay, it's Abdoulaye Doucouré, just sending a ball over our wingers into the channel for Dominic Calvert-Lewin to run onto. And it wasn't working. And it wasn't working into 60 minutes, into 70 minutes, into 80 minutes. He came off. The only thing that started working was just getting a ball over the top, just sending it straight up the field. Freaking route one, pump the ball up the field. You play Football Manager, you pump the ball into the box, and that's what they're doing right there. It's like that worked because it was desperation. That worked because Fulham were tired. That worked because we have the good enough quality players like Ndai, Young, and Beto when he gets the chance to be able to play that way. But I don't get why he's not making the true adjustments that he needs to with his team. He's just obsessed with these channels. It's like he would say percentage football. He would say, well, we're getting the ball into the areas where, we're going to try to win the fouls. This is the best place for the ball to be because it's the farthest away from our goal. Whatever he wants to say, it isn't true progressive football. You have any initial thoughts on that, Quinn? Because I have a lot to say.
I got a lot to say. I mean, I agree with a lot of what you said, and there's a lot of me that when he talks about, well, we're playing percentage football, it's like, great, expected goals doesn't win games, goals win games.
Right, and it's yes, like there's not a true lack of creativity. We are not Sam Allardyce's Everton where there's not a desire to create. Yeah. But we are still Sean Dyche's Everton that is not making the changes that need to be. It's not like if there's a game plan and it works, great. When it doesn't work, there has to be a change. You cannot just sit there and do the definition of insanity, the same thing over and over and hope that, something changes, because it's not. When a team like Fulham and whatever other team we play this season comes out, knows what to expect with us and is organized enough to keep to their discipline, then we're going to have these same sort of situations. To be honest, Fulham probably should have scored 4 goals last night. They were good. They were a good side. They had opportunities. They were getting into great areas. They were wasteful. That game could have been 3-0. We
Raul plays better.
If Raul gets his touches right, if Iwobi gets the balls into the box right, if they just get the right chances, then that game, whatever. Like it's what if, right? The game's over. It's 1-1. But that's not the point. The point is that we're riding our luck.
Yeah, I think yesterday my problem really came when we're down 1-0, and he takes off our center forward as we're losing, puts Beto up there, which again he scores, but that initial change isn't what ultimately leads to like the chaos up front. Michael Keane going up front. It's Dwight getting injured and coming off that forces him to put 2 up front. And so my question is, when are we going to just give it a go and put those 2 up there next to each other?
Well, we did it once, right? We did it once and it didn't work out. Sometime last season, I couldn't remember against who, but we did it once and it didn't work out because they were just drifting into the same areas. They were battling for the same balls together. It didn't work. But the thing is, it could work. And it could work if he sat down and worked with them, got Ian Woe and whoever works with the attacking players to work with them and be like, look, Dom's the one who goes and wins the ball. Beto, you run onto it. That's all it needs to be. That's all it needs to be. And you make it that easy. You discipline these players to say, Dom's going to go win that ball. Beto, you run onto it. Because Dom wins flick-ons. The guy wins flick-ons. He wins those balls, man. Yes. And too often he's winning them to himself to go chase down. You get a player like Beto disciplined, you watch Beto. You stay 5 yards away from
you watch, you read, and you run.
And you watch, read, run. Yo. Get it on a board, put it up in Finch Farm. Watch, read, run. I love it. But they're like, it doesn't seem like there's a desire to do anything different from Sean Dyche.
Yeah.
And that is where my biggest issue is that that's where I start to question his commitment to this job. If he doesn't want to change, he's not come out and said anything about leading the team out at Bramley Moore, I think. That's fine. If he understands in his reality that that's not there for him, then okay. But if he were to want that, if any inkling of him wants that, he's going to do something to make the changes. And he's not doing that. And that's my problem with Sean Dyche. And that is really one of my problems. The other one is that he has these heavy favorites. I get it. The squad's small. Like he can only play so many players. But I
Definitely has his favorites. It's
yeah,
so obvious who's going to
yeah,
be on the team sheet.
exactly. He's got his Burnley boys and Tarkovsky and McNeil and Michael Keane who are going to play if especially if Braithwaite's not fit. And then he continues to play Abdoulaye Doucouré in a position that he doesn't fit in, and I struggle to find a position that Doucouré really fits in. Um,
Consistently.
fits in consistently. Like he had success at the 10, but it was only consistent for a quarter of a season when he first came in.
Mm-hmm.
And then Jack Harrison, like I get it. Lindstrom doesn't seem like the real deal right there, but I don't want to sit there and say there has to be some solution because it doesn't seem like there's a solution in the team right now. Bar what, like dropping Harrison and playing a second striker, or getting McNeil on the right and Dye on the left and playing this 4-4-2. I mean, I don't think we've ever seen McNeil on the right before. It's something in my mind. It's something that I'd like to see. I'd like to see McNeil get a chance on the right because I feel like he's got such a good foot. Yes, every player is going to know that he's going to cut in with his left, but that's just what you want the ball. Like when you cut in from your left from, oh my gosh, when you cut it from the right onto your left, like that's where the game opens up. Right, that it opens up to him now because he's got the ball and he's got the whole of the pitch right there in front of him. So he can swing a ball into the far post. He can play a through ball. He can play a ball into somebody in midfield and play a 1-2. Like we have these chances, and he's got a great left foot, so he can now cut in and take a shot from the favored side of the pitch. I don't understand. Like, is it just his desire not to play there? Is it his desire not to want to play anywhere other than the middle or the left? Does Deitch just not think he can do it? Like, does it happen in training and he doesn't think he can do it? I don't know. But they're like, something's got to change, man. Like, I don't think it's my big one. I don't think he plays to our strongest assets. And this is kind of just goes back to the whole, like, how prepared is he for games or how prepared is he to change things? But the fact that Ndiaye is not getting the touches that he really needs to, is not getting like he's proven himself to be this dynamic, versatile, fantastic player. Truly, if we saw more of Iliman and Ndiaye on the ball and in the center of the pitch with creative players around him, I reckon we would win a lot more games. We'd score a lot more goals and we would look a lot better. Yes, we don't always looking better as a team doesn't always matter. You don't always need to look like you're this incredible team all the time because it's just not the way the games work out. It's not the way the game works in general. But having your strongest players in their best positions and playing to their strengths just makes sense. It's what works. So why are we sitting here and pushing a stone up a hill, trying to shoot ourselves in the foot over and over, just playing the same way? This is my long-term problem with Sean Dyche, and it's why I personally think that when Friedkin comes in officially, that they need to have a plan. And I hope that they have a plan in place to replace him sooner rather than later. I do not think he deserves to stay till the end of the season. I think that if Friedkin really wants to come in and start this project, then he needs to have, I think he needs to have a plan to replace Sean Dyche in January, even bring a new manager in who's ready, who knows what to expect and has a little bit of money to spend to bring in 2, maybe 3 players who will fit his system well so that he can get up and running right away in those January games, man.
Yeah.
Man, I said a lot. Sorry.
You did say that. No, it's okay. I mean, how great would it be if his plan is to reunite us with Carlo, as he said he would lead us into Bramley-Moore, and so Carlo can just come back. I can dream.
They just lost to Barcelona 4-0. I mean, hey, maybe. Oh my gosh, wait a second. They're not playing very well. No.
Hey, you can pray.
No, there's no way.
But could you imagine? Could you imagine? Could you imagine?
I could in my wildest dreams. When I go to bed tonight.
I mean, I agree with a lot of what you said too about Sean Dyche. I mean, ultimately, he's stubborn. I mean, I just think he's stubborn is what it comes down to, which I think you can tell in press conferences when he gets frustrated with the fans and he gets frustrated with like the media and he gets like he just I do think he's just a stubborn guy.
Yeah, and it comes across as like arrogance too. Like
he's just stubborn. And wants to do it his way. And I just don't think that will last forever here. And I hope it doesn't last much longer.
Nope. I think just about everybody probably, and I'm not going to throw this at the players' feet because I don't think they're getting fed up with him. I don't think they're sitting there like, oh, we can't wait till Deitch is gone. We get somebody progressive in, because they're professionals, and a lot of them are really loyal to him. So, and
Yeah.
so it is what it is. I don't think he's been this awful shit manager, and I think he's again done the job that we've needed. Right, he's kept us up. Like the quality of the team was always good enough, and he did just enough to keep us up. And when Freakin comes through, God willing, and knock on wood, like when Freakin comes through, um, I just think it'll be time to say goodbye to him. I think that it needs to be now. We need to make our move. We need to be ambitious. This is something that Everton have been lacking for a very long time, is true
Yeah.
ambition. Like true ambition is cutthroat. It's ruthless. It recognizes when you might lose out on something that is really necessary for the club. And it's not the way this club has been ran for a long time, because it had Bilkin right at the top of the club, who was, I want everybody to like me. I don't want to rock the boat. I want this club to be as good as I think it can be, but I'm not going to sit there and cut somebody's throat to be able to get there. I'm going to try to do things the right way. And unfortunately, in this world and in this game, doing things exactly the right way isn't going to get you where you are going to truly have your ambitions lie. You need to be cutthroat, and that's why I think Deitch needs to go sooner rather than later. And the only way I can see that visibly, like truly working, is if they have a true plan in place. There needs to be a plan in place to have a replacement lined up. Deitch, here's the money that we owe you. Thank you for your service at the club. We'll make sure that the club says very nice things about you, but we need to move you on because we're ready for a new era at this club.
Mm-hmm.
Who that is lined up, I hope it's not Jose Mourinho, but who that is lined up, I don't know. I'm still kind of got a lot of eggs in the Graham Potter basket. I think that he would be a good start for this project in terms of starting to develop a squad that can play well. Um, but it doesn't really matter who it is. I mean, it does, but it doesn't. The fact of the matter is that I hope we have a plan in place to replace Deitch, and that's what it comes down to. All right, so we just have some. I think that's it really for tonight. We're going to do a couple of questions that we've been asked. Um, Start off with, once again, Urban Koeman. It's been so long, Urban. So good to see you. And obviously, he's kind of just talking about what we just talked about.
Mm-hmm.
If we lose to Southampton, is it time to start to think about sacking Deitch? Look, when it comes down to it, he's not going to get sacked until Freakin come in. So if he loses to Southampton, that probably will make Freakin's decision that little bit easier. Um, but you guys heard my thoughts on it, Quinn.
Yeah, no, I think that, like you said, he won't go before the Friedkin group officially takes over and whatnot. And I do think, going off of what you were even just sharing, that they probably have a plan. They probably have a plan. They've probably been talking to people.
Hope so.
Yeah, I would think so. It's not like this is just out of the woodwork them like deciding to invest in the club. I mean, this summer all the talk. So I would think that there's been at least conversations of who they would want.
Yep.
I think that they would have a plan. So anyway, all I
Yep.
had to say, I think us losing next week would not equate to a
Oh, that would be
Monday morning
devastating.
sacking.
Oh, if we lost next week, it would be devastating. Holy cow, it would ruin my whole. Oh my gosh! Like, thank God we have another game before the international break after Southampton, but that would just
Yeah.
ruin my freaking weekend. Oh, that would be awful.
Yeah, he wouldn't be out the door the next morning, obviously,
No.
but it would definitely add some urgency to it.
Yep.
But
There'd
he would
probably even
also
be talks in the
around
media.
until
Yeah.
yeah.
Man. Yeah, Rob. I love the picture, by the way, man. I hope it doesn't happen. Obviously, Mourinho has kind of added some gasoline to those flames with his little comments about, like, when I saw that, I couldn't believe it was a real quote. I was like, that's like somebody just made that up to fuck with us, but excuse my language. But it was a real quote. Why he would like come out and say that? Like, obviously he's like trying to goad Friedkin in, or maybe like if there's really something there, then hey, like I'm not going to be too upset if Jose Mourinho leads us out at Bramley Moore. That'd be kind of cool. But to me, it would be reverting to type for what Everton have done for a number of years now, which is kind of go for the flashy, cool, not new kid on the block, which is he's obviously not, but like go for the name. I don't think we need to go for the name. I think we need to start the project. And the project needs to be Project Everton 1.0 because we're starting over at Brownlee Moore, y'all. And it needs to be not Jose Mourinho, but it needs to be an actual project manager. Question from our Toffee Blue. Oh, I'm sorry, Quinn. Did you? I totally didn't even let you answer. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I feel like we talked about Jose Mourinho last week a bit,
yeah.
And so I'm not the biggest Jose fan.
Yeah. Next question. Let's get rid of that ticker. What are your thoughts on Mika this season? Would you look to sign a left back? We kind of answered that earlier.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Quinn, any changes in the past 15 minutes about it?
Nope. My thoughts haven't changed.
You think, Rob, that's interesting. You think that Jose would win us a trophy? I think that we would definitely try more in those competitions. I don't think that we've seen an Everton team try in a cup competition. Obviously, we got to like the quarterfinal of the League Cup last season, but it didn't like the actual trying aspect of it's a little bit different. I think the desire to go out and this next question is going to be interesting. The desire to go out and win a cup would definitely be in Jose's wheelhouse, and I would love. I think if that's now you've brought up an interesting point. You made me think. But if that's something that Friedkin wants, it says, well, look, if we can bring in Jose Mourinho and get these fans on our side by winning a trophy, then we're heroes to these guys. Okay, I see where you're going with that, Rob. I like the thought process there that I just created out of my head, but. I would like to see Jose Mourinho win us a trophy, even if it's just an epoxy little league cup.
We're taking a hard turn.
I'm not saying we're taking a hard turn. I'm not saying it's going to be Jose, but I understand the line of thinking, and that would be interesting. Yeah, I'd take the league cup. Yeah, I'd take any cup.
Yeah, I think anyone would. I think anyone would. But I also don't think Jose Mourinho is a guaranteed trophy lift.
Yes,
right away.
Yeah. I think he did it with Roma. First he won the Europa Conference League. Like he's not a guaranteed trophy lift. But look, I won't say too much because David Moyes won the Europa Conference League too. So. All right. So this one's interesting. Quinn, I want you to answer that one first.
I will gladly answer it first. I am anti going back to a manager. I am not, when we've talked about David Moyes, when that's been talked about.
Oh, but you're up to Carlo Ancelotti.
Okay, that's true. Carlo is a unique situation in which he was not sacked.
True.
So we'll do that. And well, I guess David Moyes also was not sacked. That's a tough statement, but
hard turn, Quinn.
It's a hard turn. Touche. I think it's like going back to an ex. Yeah. Typically, doesn't work out. I think Marco Silva's done really well at Fulham. But I just ultimately am not a fan of the idea of going back with Marco. No matter how good he has done, could do, I'm a no. It's a no from me.
I'm kind of like 70-30 saying no. 70 saying no, 30 saying yes. I think that, I don't think for me personally, we'll see how the rest of the season plays out for Fulham. But I look at Marco Silva and I think he's kind of hit his ceiling right now. I think finishing top half is kind of his ceiling. If that's what we're looking for, maybe he wouldn't be the worst choice, but I kind of agree. There's not really much point in going back. Would he want to come back? Like, obviously, I like he had some very nice things to say about Goodison. Iwobi did as well. So I don't think, and with Silva, he was, again, a casualty of a very chaotic and turbulent time at Everton with the board that we had. So I'm sure, maybe he feels hard done by, but at the same time, if he says, well, now this is a new group, I don't know. I would say no. If it happened, it would be really interesting, but I don't think he's a man to bring back personally. Yes, I agree that we have much more of a chance of winning a trophy with anybody other than Dyche, just about, because I don't think that guy cares about the cup competitions at all. Next one, why not have a fun one? What are your thoughts on an Everton Disneyland on the docks? We saw that the Freakin group is looking to purchase more land and create more experiences on the docks, which I think is a fantastic idea. I love this idea that they're trying to regenerate this part of Liverpool, because I've been to that part of Liverpool quite a few times. There's nothing out there. It's, I mean, I get it. It's construction area. It's Docklands. It's not supposed to be anything really nice, but in Everton Disneyland, I don't know. They couldn't call it Everton Disneyland. That's crazy trademarks at Disney. Call it Everton Duncan Land. I don't know. Dixieland. Oh my God. Oh my God, bro. That's it. Dixieland right there. Dixieland. Oh, and this is fantastic. How nice.
Hey, I've been there.
Yeah, she's been there. Yeah.
I've been to visit.
Guys, if you don't know me, I'm a bar manager full time, and some people from my bar are watching. So hello, Abby. Glad you're watching. The show's almost over, so you kind of missed most of it. But thanks for showing up. Yeah, look at this, Rob. Again, this is a line of thinking that you're getting on, and I really appreciate it, because I totally understand it. Like, yeah, like you win a trophy, you change the mindset around the club. Oh, we've won something. Well, we want to win more. We get this taste of it, and you want to win more, right? I get it. I understand the line of thought. It's an interesting concept. So we'll see. So Dixieland, give me 5 players you'd want to be mascots there.
Dixieland.
Yeah, Dixieland.
Danny's favorite, Dennis Strack-Willercy.
Holy cow! Hold up a second. Dixieland sounds like racist as always. Keep going. Dennis Strack-Willercy. Okay.
I think I should just kind of go on that train of
just icons. Royston Drenthe.
Yeah.
Royston Drenthe. Marcus Bent.
I mean, why not Nikita Yelovich,
Yeah, that's a good one. I like Yelovich. I appreciate that. Stephen Naismith would be a good one.
Why not put Tim Cahill at the front gate,
Tim Cahill at the front gate? Put Tim Cahill on the logo, man. It's Cahill land now.
Hey, I think it's a genius move to purchase some of that land at the docks. I really, really, really do, especially with that stadium and with the Euros and everything. I think that's a genius business move. And if you've got the money to invest in spaces in the docks, do it. That's my honest take.
Truly. It's only going to become more of an asset. It's right next to the city center. It's right on the Mersey. It's going to be a place that people want to come to and want to have shows at. So yeah, and they're talking about putting another arena there. I mean, that could be a training facility. It could be a women's arena, a women's stadium, which would be awesome. Honestly, for the women to have their own purpose-built stadium, that would be cool. They truly deserve that. On the dock, too, just right next to the stadium. There's a lot of possibility there. So I like it.
Yeah, I think it's a genius business move. If I had a bunch of money, that's where I'd invest.
Genius business move. Top tier. Yes.
Yes, of course.
Yes, Rob. I've got a lot, like I said, I've got a lot of eggs in the Graham Potter basket. I think he would be good. I think he'd be the kind of football that we'd look to play, and I think fans would want to see us play. But it's all speculation now. There's not any rumor to really go off of, so we're just kind of sitting here throwing names out into the ether and hoping something manifests itself. So it is what it is. Well, Quinn, that is the end of our questions. Do we have anything else we want to say to the people before we go?
The Detroit Lions are the best football team in the United States of America. That's all from me.
What? Okay, anyways.
That's all from me. Just need to make that public service announcement. That's
all. I know
all.
They won today. They were up by a lot at half. So.
They won 52-14.
Excellent. Look at you go. Who'd you beat, though?
Tennessee.
Come on.
Hey, but my statement remains true. That's all I have to say.
That's fair.
It's been a long life of misery, okay? And I have to deal with Everton. Now the Lions are good.
You don't even know. I'm a Panthers fan, okay?
Oh, I know. The Detroit Lions
hadn't
won a playoff game in my lifetime.
I win 16 team. I know. It's Detroit. I get it. But right now, I have to watch Andy Dalton play for a David Tepper team. And I have to watch us lose to everybody all the time for no reason. Just smacked around like we're nothing. It stinks.
I just had to make my public service announcement. Thank you, everyone.
Happy for you. Well, folks, that is enough. We're ending right at an hour, which is awesome. Honestly, I'm really proud of us today. We did a good job. We did a really good job controlling the conversation. Good job, Quinn. Okay, don't just thank me.
Well,
Jeez.
I can't really thank myself. It seems just a little wrong to say
I
thanks to
respect that.
myself.
I respect that. The Motor City I have a friend who lives there. I have
Yes,
a friend who
born and
lives there.
raised. 8 miles from the 8 Mile.
Thank you, Toffee Nug. Appreciate it. Well, y'all, enjoy your night. Up the Toffees. And we'll see you again after Southampton. Hopefully 3 points for the Toffees because we need them, man. We need them. All
Yes,
right,
we
y'all.
do.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night. Outro video. We